Hello everybody, this is Kate at the Library of Whispers, and I thought we'd have a flick through here and through this lovely book, and it is full of illustrations by Gustave Doré and Blanchard Gerald, and it is London, a Pilgrimage. 180 illustrations by Gustave Doré. So we'll do maybe a little bit of reading, and we'll also take a look at the illustrations. I hope we can get these into the camera. So this illustration is called A City Thoroughfare, and that's a lot of people and lots of transport, horses and omnibuses and some cabs. So this was published in 1970. It's the, let's see, it says this Dover edition, first published in 1970, is an unabridged republication of the work originally published by Grant & Co. London in 1872. Originally from 1872. And the contents are preface, introduction, London Bridge, the busy riverside, the docks, above bridge to Westminster, all London at a boat race, the Derby, London on the Downs, the West End, in the season, by the Abbey, London under green leaves, with the beasts and workaday London. Humble industries, the town of Malt, under lock and key, Whitechapel and thereabouts, in the marketplace, London at play, and London charity. I won't read all the illustrations to you because there's quite a lot. I'll kind of do that one by one. So I guess we could read some of the preface. Let's see. It's quite long. I think I might skip the preface and go on to one of the chapters. So this illustration is Greenwich in the season. Here is the River Thames, and here's the ladies and gentlemen in their finest. Stars in the night sky. This illustration looks like boats on the Thames, perhaps. And this looks like an image of the dock area, perhaps. read some of the introduction. We are pilgrims, wanderers, gypsy loiterers in the great world of London, not historians of the ancient port and capital to which the Dinanters of Dinant on the Meuse carried their renowned brass vessels 600 years ago. Upon the bosom of old Thames, now churned with paddle and screw, cargoes were borne to the ancestors of Chaucer. It is indeed an ancient tide of business and pleasure, ancient in the fabled days of the boy Whittington, listening to the bells at Highgate. We are true to remote, amicable relations between the two foremost nations of the earth, we, French artist and English author, when we resolve to study some of the salient features of the greatest city of the world together, under the magic influence of its vastness. Its prodigious, unwieldy life, and its extraordinary varieties of manners, character, and external picturesqueness, a few pleasant days' wanderings through the light and shade of London became the habit of 2 or 3 seasons. Our excursions in quest of the picturesque and the typical at last embraced the mighty city from the Pool to the slopes of Richmond. We are wanderers, not, I repeat, historians, and we approach London by the main artery that feeds its unflinching vigour. We have seen the Titan awake and asleep, at work and at play. We have paid our court to him in his brightest and his happiest guises, when he stands solemn and erect in the dignity of his quaint and ancient state, when his steadfastness to the old is illustrated by the dress of the yeoman of the guard, or his passion for the new is shown in the 100 changes of every passing hour. Hawthorne has observed that human destinies look ominous without some perceptible intermixture of the sable or the grey. We have looked upon the Titan, sick and hungering, and in his evil-doing, as well as in his pomp and splendour of the West, and in the exercise of his noble charities and sacrifices, we have endeavoured to seize representative bits of each of the parts of the whole. Our way has lain in the wake of Leigh Hunt and Charles Lamb, rather in that of Cunningham or Timms. In his pleasant recollections connected with the metropolis, Hunt observes in his usual light and happy manner, one of the best secrets of enjoyment is the art of cultivating pleasant associations. It is an art that, of necessity, increases with the stock of our knowledge, and though, in acquiring our knowledge, we must encounter disagreeable associations also, yet, if we secure a reasonable quantity of health by the way, these will be far less in number than the agreeable ones, for, unless the circumstances which gave rise to the associations press upon us, it is only from want of health that the power of throwing off their burdensome images becomes suspended. This is Hunt's cheery, speculative custom. He is hereupon off into the quarters that in his day were, to the ordinary man, the dreariest and most repulsive in London. But Leigh Hunt bore his own sunshine with him. The fog was powerless upon him. In vain the rain pattered upon his pleasant, handsome face. I think it is R. H. Horne who wrote, "'Tis always sunrise somewhere in the world." In the heart of Hunt, Orion was for ever purpling in the sky. He is in St. Giles, as St. Giles was in his time. We can never go through St. Giles, but the sense of the extravagant inequalities in human condition presses more forcibly upon us. But some pleasant images are at hand, even there to refresh it. They do not displace the others, so as to injure the sense of public duty which they excited. They only serve to keep our spirits fresh for their task and hinder them from running into desperation or hopelessness. In St. Giles Church lie Chapman, the earliest and best translator of Homer, and Andrew Marvell, the wit and patriot, whose poverty Charles II could not bribe. We are as sure to think of these two men, and of all the good and pleasure they have done to the world, as of the less happy objects about us. The steeple of the church itself, too, is a handsome one, and there is a flock of pigeons in that neighbourhood, which we have stood with great pleasure to see careering about it of a fine afternoon, when a western wind had swept back the smoke towards the city, and showed the white of the stone steeple, piercing up into a blue sky. So much for St. Giles, whose very name is a nuisance with some. And so the happy spirit trudges through the shadiest places, or will linger to gossip by London stone of the mighty tides of life that have passed by it. Fletcher and Massinger lying in one grave at St. Saviour's in the Borough, Gower, Chaucer's contemporary, hard by. These give sunshine, with the memories folded about the tabard, to Southwark. Spenser was born in Smithfield. It is a hard spot, but the poet pacing Lombard Street remembers that it is the birthplace of Pope, that Gray first saw the light in Cornhill, and that Milton was born in Bread Street, Cheapside. Fleet Street holds a crowd of delightful associations. It is not the Queen's highway, it is that of Johnson and Goldsmith, and all their goodly fellowship. The genius of Lord Bacon haunts Gray's Inn, that of Selden, the Inner Temple. Voltaire appears in Maiden Lane, Covent Garden, Congreve in Surrey Street, Strand, John of Gaunt in Hatton Garden, and all the wits of Queen Anne's time in Russell Street by Drury Lane. As Hunt observes, he never went into a market, as he affectedly remarked, except to buy an apple or a flower. The whole of Covent Garden is classic ground from its association with the dramatic and other wits of the times of Dryden and Pope. Butler lived, perhaps died, in Rose Street, and was buried in Covent Garden churchyard, where Peter Pinder the other day followed him. This amiable scholarly outlook upon London is, as Hunt insists, at the opening of his essay, a healthy habit of association. It will relieve us, even when a painful sympathy with the distresses of others becomes a part of the very health of our minds. We have taken care that the happy images of the past, which people the dreariest corners of London, never displace the others, so as to injure the sense of public duty which they excite. But we have lent to the picturesque, the imaginative side of the great city's life and movement. I apprehend that the lesson which Doré's pictorial renderings of our mercantile centre will teach or discover is that London, artistically regarded, is not, as the shallow have said so often, an ugly place, given up body and soul to money-grubbing. London, as compared with Paris, has a business air which tires the pleasure-seeker and revolts many sentimental observers, who will not be at the pains of probing our life. All classes and ranks of Englishmen in London have the air of men seriously engaged in the sordid cares of commercial life. Okay, we'll leave the introduction there and carry on looking through some of the pictures. Look at this fabulous picture. London, the lion, the Thames, London Bridge. Here is the Tower of London. And this is Dick Whittington at Highgate. And this is the first chapter, chapter 1, London Bridge. this another time. Here is London Bridge. It doesn't exist anymore. This is what it used to look like, with all these buildings built on top of the bridge as it spanned the Thames. And this is chapter 2, the busy riverside. This looks like Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament, the Palace of Westminster. This says a riverside street. This image is inside the docks. Chapter 3, the docks. And this picture is St. Catherine's Dock. And this is the docks night scene. Moon in the sky. Not quite sure what's going on here. Some kind of public house, maybe. Chapter 4 is Above Bridge to Westminster. And this picture is Lambeth Gasworks. Chapter 5, All London at a Boat Race. Palace of Westminster, Big Ben, Westminster Bridge, and then some kind of boat race on the Thames. Children sitting in a tree watching the boat race. And contrast that with the finery of the ladies and gentlemen watching from their balcony the same race. Here, children in a tree, people sitting on the bank of the river to watch. The children saw people's legs poking through the wooden bridge. This is Putney Bridge, the return. And this is chapter 6, the race. read a little bit of this. The race. Listen, the gun. There is a heaving of the entire mass. A low, full murmur rolls along the river banks. A spasm of intense excitement passes through the 200,000 or 300,000 people who have packed themselves along the shores to see the prowess of a few university lads. Desperate fellows, along the towing paths, take walls by assault, force their way into boats, hoist themselves upon the shoulders of their neighbours. They are coming. Far away in the distance we catch the cheering, to which the low hum and vibration of excitement under our terrace is the bass accompaniment. From the haze where the shores wind beyond the bridge roll waving echoes of the wild agitation that stirs the steep edges of humanity. The boats are thrust and bullied from the central way. They come. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and maybe we'll take a further look and read through this book, London a Pilgrimage, and take a look at more of the illustrations. But for now, this is Kate at the Library of Whispers. Thank you so much for popping by. I hope you enjoyed this soft-spoken reading, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.